Hey team, wanted to make another quick video on a few new books that I read. I wanted to start with this one. It is called The Tree Forager. I have been getting into learning about the environment and learning about invasive species and just the species that are meant to be here too, frankly. And I care very much about food and about healthy living in what you're eating as well. And so I think that this has been this was a fun one, just because it talks about different trees and what you can eat that comes from those trees, which I just really appreciate knowing more about that stuff. I thought it was cute. It pairs a song with the different trees. I was kind of doing that when I was learning, the weeds, like ragweed, singing ragdoll, that's so cute, and I just different nerdy things like Virginia creeper was meet Virginia, nerdy things like that. I think it just helped me remember that much more for identification reasons. And it was just kind of fun and nerdy. And if you have a fellow nerd, then that's ace. You can kind of share it together and then you can kind of go into it more. But I just thought it was a fun idea. And so I'm glad that they did it as well in this book. I am thankful for the knowledge that they shared. They had some pretty cool recipes in here that I do want to try. And it just nice anecdotes as well. So I liked that book. And that kind of segued into this book, which was, I'd say, it had fewer tree species, but it kind of went a step farther. It talked about herbalism and different ways that herbs can be used. So it wasn't just like a recipe for each tree. It was, this is for a tonic, an early spring tonic. And I talked about the history of tonics and how, coming out of spring, the larders were depleted, thinking of like prairie survival and, Minnesota winters, especially here in Minnesota, getting through the year until the next harvest can come, and until food is readily available, until you can forage more, getting through the winters and where tonics kind of come from. So it kind of weirded me out just because it was, talking about, fermenting, these different tonics and things. And, it seemed like they had some pretty strange combinations too, which was like, like garlics and onions and elderberries and other fruity things. And it's like weird combination, and then ferment it for 4 weeks. And I was like, that is outside of my comfort zone a lot. But I love the idea of it. I of course, I don't know the science of that fermentation process and how that's going to affect. Obviously, it broke down the different elements in each recipe that it talked about, and it explained why and how that would help your health, and different metabolistic things and boosting these vitamins and XYZ. It was definitely out of my comfort zone with the fermentation. Number one, I have made homemade beer. But I don't know, it was just like, oh geez. So I did actually come up with some cool experiments I want to try based on the tonics, probably baby steps. If someone made the tonic, I wouldn't mind trying like a little mini glass of it, but I don't know if I would do that myself per se. Some of them I like the straight fruity fermented ones I'm 100% pro for some reason. Like there was an elderberry syrup or whatever, the recipe in here that I want to try that seemed like less outside of my comfort zone, more with melded to probably less health benefit to it, but it just seemed to fit together well. And so I think that was like, yes, I want to try that. So they had some cool ones. Obviously, this one talked about kombucha, which I do want to experiment with, which was very fun. Again, using herbs to clean with like using smoke as a way to clean and cleanse, by burning specific herbs. And I like the history of that. I like the symbolism of that. I like the idea of that, I guess. Things like that. I have not done that per se, but I think that being mindful about a purging of something negative is not a bad thing. And performing some sort of ritual, again, I don't think that that's a bad thing either. If it gets you to be mindful and if it gives you peace, then I think that's something that you want to do and you should do. And I think that the history of that kind of adds more meaning to it, because, you have seen that in a number of cultures throughout the world. So I think that that's really interesting too. It talked about bone broth, and I'm a vegan. I'm a little bit cross because I was looking into collagen, and I'm trying to figure out how I can boost my levels of collagen. When I was doing my nutritional research, and as a vegan, it says, like from meats and, from bones. It's like, I don't do those. What else can I do? And so I'm a little cross about the bone broth, frankly, but because it does not sound appealing to me at all. I don't want to try it. I did take pictures of some of the recipes because I figured I could maybe make a stew and use, the other ingredients incorporated in a stew, and there would still be some health benefits like the carrots and onions and, miscellaneous things like that. So I did take pictures of that as a potential option of exploration. But let me know if you have any vegan collagen ideas, I guess. But anyway, so that chapter, I was just kind of like, okay, the whole time. Well, maybe I like carrots, so but I loved the health and wellness beauty section. I have some experiments I want to try with washing my hair using baking soda. Back to basics. I want to explore the essential oils because less additives, less preservatives, less weird gland usage. Essential oils are the condensed, steamed essence of whatever you are processing. So it's very organic and very natural, and so I think it's nice to be able to know what it is. Number one, ideally, unless they're supplementing with something else, or I don't want to know what they might supplement with, but I think that is a great process, knowing what you're using, being mindful of what you're using, making sure that it is organic and that it's not going to be some weird chemical that might have unknowable longitudinal effects on your skin, on your person. Just knowing what it is, I think, is good. So I loved that. I do want to play with essential oils and come up with my own perfume, and talked about building your own perfumes and like the top note, middle note, and bottom note. And anyway, a lot of fun DIY recipes in here. I tried one of the sugar scrubs, one of the body scrubs, and it was so good. I happened to have all the ingredients in the house, so nothing like obscure needed. It was just straight up simple, and I tried it and I fell in love with it. It was so heavenly. So very cool. A lot of interesting things in here. Overall, I'm excited to try the recipes from this book. I've already started the recipes from this book, and I want to dabble in a couple more of those things too. Very fun to look into the potential of the plants around you, how you can use them, and explore and enrich your knowledge, your understanding of the world around you. Very cool. Would recommend.